Hellenic powers will clash in today's online battle. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to the Winter Siege. And this is going to be one hell of a battle. It's going to be very exciting to see which Hellenic power will come out on top in this engagement as they bring everything that Alexander once brought in this battle. So yes, we do have a nice Hellenic on Hellenic siege, which should be extremely exciting. We've also got a bit of a tribal power coming in. I don't even know what this faction is. I think it's from one of the DLCs, but this kind of more nomadic faction will help to supplement the Bactrians and the Athenians in this battle. Actually, I think they're maybe like in the Thrace region. Honestly, let me know in the comments down below, because I have no idea if I am if I'm being truthful. But we have the Seleucids attacking alongside the Egyptians, and then we have a third Egyptian force which is attacking all the way over on this side right here. So it's going to be a nice little spread out siege, a lot of pressure on the defenders, and I'm interested to see who is going to come out on top of this. Obviously, Thorax Swordsman, one of the deadliest units in the entire game, going up against, what is still pretty good tribal warriors, but, they're no Thorax Swordsmen. So, yeah, that's going to be something to watch closely to see who takes that down. Also, they have an interesting fact about this map. This map was actually the final map that me and Darren played in our head-to-head stream as the Arvasi and the Germanians, which, again, pretty interesting stuff right there. So, obviously, for the majority of the forces, they're going to be bringing Royal Peltis, Thorax Swordsman. You guys have kind of seen these rosters all before, so I don't really need to go through them too much. Obviously, Hoplites, Pikemen, Cretan Archers, Rhodian Slingers. Yeah, the usual stuff, And these Royal Peltis are going to be absolutely vital in these battles, especially in siege engagements where you do have a lot of heavy phalanxes and pikemen. Having Peltis to take them down, just make it a little bit easier, is just so goddamn crucial. We have some of the Bactrian horses, both sallying out from this position, probably going to try and cut line of sight by hiding behind this mountain side right, well, not really mountain, but rock facing right here, try and break line of sight, and hopefully the attackers will forget about this cavalry. As I don't know if they've really brought much. They have brought some cavalry, and I'm surprised the Seleucids didn't charge after them, try and throw in some of their Armenian mercenary cavalry and just try and get stuck in. But no, they just sat idly by and let this cavalry move around. So now it's hidden. They might be in a bit of a tricky situation. We are seeing some cavalry, though, rotating around, just kind of covering this area as best as they can. But moves like this can be really devastating to the attackers because it just kind of throws off their entire assault. When you have cavalry charges and sally outs and stuff, it really just puts you on the back foot, which is always pretty dangerous. Also, interesting enough, the Seleucids have a bunch of hillmen in their advanced force, in their landing party on the walls, obviously supported by Thorax Swordsmen. That's going to be very interesting. Also, that artillery piece managed to burn a couple of them warriors. Pretty deadly stuff there. The Egyptians are obviously going to be advancing up, Thorax Swordsmen across the board there. So this is going to be a much more of a heavy hitting punch right there. And you can see the men in the siege position itself, ready for this this little hatch to go down and the men to storm the walls like true warriors. I also get a couple questions about how I do this. All you have to do is press insert when you've got a unit selected, and you can just jump in and look from their point of view, which I think is always an awesome looking position to come from. For the defenders, we do have a very nice setup. Obviously, again, Thorax Swordsman. When you're playing Hellenic powers, this is kind of what you want to bring to the battlefield, and you can see that they've got Thorax Spears, Thorax Swordsman, and I imagine some pikemen and some good missiles scattered throughout the battle. Yeah, mercenary Cretan archers, which can be taken down fairly easy by the longer range slingers, but obviously in a siege it's quite hard to get them slings to have line of sight, so the archers are generally better. And there you go, the first little assault going off right now. The Egyptians have made their way onto the walls and engaging the tribal warriors. Out of interest, how good are the tribal warriors? So 30 attack, 40 melee damage, no bonus against infantry. Compare that to like some Thorax Swordsmen, or Thorax Swordsmen. So they actually have some really good weapon damage. So if they do hit, they do a lot of damage. But they don't have a higher chance to hit than the Thorax Swordsman. Okay, they've also got, oh my god, their armor is insane. 95 armor? That's 15 more than the Royal 4-axe Swordsman. Wow, that's pretty crazy. We'll have to see how strong they do end up being in this battle, because it's going to be crucial that the Egyptians, you know, put enough pressure on this position that they do end up breaking through. Or at least kind of draw a lot of the infantry back to make the assault. Because this is the thing, the capture point is right here. This is the center of the map they obviously want to fight their way to. And it's going to be quite easy for the the Athenians and the Bactrians to resupply this position with more infantry. So it's pretty crucial that, you know, they do a good stand, because if they do, it will hopefully draw more men away from the main assault, which is in the north. And honestly, maybe it would have been a better idea to delay this attack a little bit and kind of assault a little bit later on into the battle, when a lot more units are drawn in here, and that would obviously put on a lot more pressure. We also now have the Seleucids advancing forward, and they have now arrived. The Hillmen are taking the brunt of the assault, and this is obviously what they are designed to do. These soldiers are here to take the arrow fire. They're here to kind of take any javelins the Furious have. An artillery volley, though, unfortunately, that does fall short, though. Would have been nice to get a direct hit there, kill like 15 of them swordsmen. Takes away a large portion of the assault. I mean, honestly, I felt like the Bactrian defense already is just really solid. Like, they're covering all the crucial positions, and it's going to take a little while to really form up. Oh, another artillery shot coming in. Again, the inaccuracy of that artillery is going to come back to bite them. And they're just, you know, deploying more men to where they're seeing is needed. I'm a big fan of this defense so far. I mean, they haven't really done much, but I really do like the way they have set up their formation. Sorry about that, I was just moving my mic into position. I really like the way they've set up their defenses, if I'm honest. And we'll have to see if that does pay dividends in this battle as the fighting begins across the board. Bactrians versus Egyptians, Athenians versus Seleucids. This is a true Hellenic throwdown. Kind of, you know, out of all the maps as well. I mean, I love the Winter Siege. I love it for sure. But out of all the maps a Hellenic showdown could be done on, Winter is, yeah, probably one of the bottom ones you would expect. But then again, we could just argue that they're in, like, you know, northern Greece, you know, Thrace area, around the Danube. And yeah, there you go. You have the first kind of major assault really kicking off now. And as well as that, the Egyptians over on this side probably have a lot more men in reserve. By the way, it doesn't look like this is all the assault, because I think we're looking from a point of view of the defenders. We can't see the attackers' men hiding. So they probably do have more men. And as you can see, they are bringing out more men to continue this assault. And they're going really hard on this. And I think this is a good plan, because if they can draw these soldiers away from the front, that's gonna be absolutely huge. But it seems like the Tribal Warriors are doing a very good job right now, going toe-to-toe with the 4-axe Swordsman. And I think it would be quite important to get their missiles up. Yeah, exactly that. Getting some Cretan archers up and just hammering these positions is going to be pretty good, because they have some Thracian peltists as well. Oh, so yeah, they are Thracian. I said they were probably Thracian. Yeah, so these pelters will do a lot of damage, and obviously their main focus is going to be on killing the units coming in from the back, or just throwing into the side of these 4-axe swordsmen, who are pretty depleted now, down to 60 men, under half strength. And going to be, yeah, taking a major hitting, but, you know, with all the reinforcements turned up there, that's pretty good. I mean, obviously the Cretan archers as well, these guys can be devastating. And I think it's worth blowing your load with these Cretan archers right now, because this assault I don't think is going to be, I don't know, it's probably going to be successful, but there's not going to be much left. So if you can just save yourself a couple extra swordsmen, I think that would be pretty huge. Oh, and the cavalry fight has now kicked off back here. The Bactrian horses have been caught out by the Armenian mercenaries. However, the camel riders of Egypt are here, and they're going to go right into the back of the Bactrians and stop them from retreating, pin them down. But, you know, this is still nice. Even though the Bactrians are going to lose their cavalry, they're definitely causing some issues for the Egyptians. They're keeping their kind of vision off the battlefield. You know, and even though this assault probably didn't work out as well as the Bactrians would like, it's still good to add more distraction into the battle, more deception. Just kind of keep the attackers busy so they're not maybe as focused as they are. But the attackers did a great job at just quickly silencing that out. There you go, the Royal Peltists are now engaged, and don't be deceived. If you don't really know too much about the Royal Peltists, they're an extremely deadly unit. You know, not only with that javelin, but also in melee combat. They kind of are like one of the best hybrid units the Hellenics have to offer. As not only do they have a decent amount of ammunition to throw in them shots, they also have a very, very decent melee skill and melee defense, so they can really, really get stuck in. I don't know. I mean, the attackers are throwing everything they've got, but we are seeing routes kind of occurring. Luckily, they have managed to take down one of these 4x swords, which will definitely open up the area. But a lot of these javelins, I actually love that the defenders have gone heavy on light peltists rather than missiles. I think that's a very interesting strategy and definitely a very valid one. Because a lot of the time, these peltists will rack up a decent amount of kills on infantry, and if the attackers run out of infantry, then it doesn't really matter if they still have missiles left, because they can't get them into the city to work well. So it's actually a very, very interesting setup, and as you can see, these Royal Peltists demolish this unit of Furios Spears, absolutely demolish them. And now that they've killed them, they might be able to whip back out their missiles. Yeah, exactly that, and then start lobbing in javelins onto the oncoming attackers. Obviously, these Furios Spears have stopped to throw their javelins, but obviously the Royal Peltists have a higher missile damage, and they also have a lot more javelins, so they'll be able to quite quickly whittle down this Furios Sword unit and continue to hammer it home. The Egyptians are making progress now with the advancement of the mercenary Cretan archers. They're doing a pretty good job. They are obviously going up against some Celtic slingers. I'm surprised the Celtic slingers can shoot that, honestly, because of the angle. I mean, it probably would be a really good idea for the Egyptians to bring their archers a little bit closer to the wall, because I don't think they'd be able to hit that angle unless they were standing like exactly this far away. So I think if the Egyptians put their missiles like here, they'd be able to hammer away all day long at them. But they are still taking out the slingers, so that's not a bad idea. And finally, the numbers are starting to come into play for the Egyptians in the southern part of the settlement. They're finally starting to whittle down these quite simply amazing tribal warriors. Like, this is a very good Thracian unit. And by taking them down, it's just going to draw more and more men up. Obviously, you have more reinforcements. Another unit of Gallo-Thracian infantry coming up. Again, this is nowhere near going to be as good as the tribal warriors, so taking this down is great. I mean, we might end up seeing more of the rear guard being brought back to actually stop this, because this is obviously the last thing they want, is an entire Egyptian army coming flying into the back of their defense. And that's why I think maybe what would have been great is actually just delaying this Egyptian attack on this side, because if you delay it by like 4 or 5 minutes, then you probably sync up pretty nicely with the assault on the city centre, granted everything goes well on the walls. Because by attacking alongside everyone else immediately, you kind of run the risk of finding yourself being taken care of. Like, they break through this initial assault, these guys turn around and finish off what remains of the Egyptians, and then turn back to deal with the other Egyptian army and also the Seleucids. You kind of run that risk just because it's going to take the Seleucids time and the Egyptians time to break through this position. However, they are doing a very good job. These Royal Peltists have been insane. How many kills are they on? Only 26 of them left, but 118 kills is pretty gnarly indeed. And they're just having another unit up here as well. Going to be throwing in onto the 4x swordsman and trying to bring them down. I also love this map as well, because they have a lot of streets like this where you can just kind of run through and move around the flank and kind of come down this street. Yeah, I really, really am a huge fan of positions like this where you can use streets and alleyways and gardens to maneuver and take out your opponent by surprise. Also, it has a very nice position here where you can set up archers on both this ledge and on this ledge and just hammer away on this defense. As I said, this was the final battle in one of the head-to-heads between me and Republic of Play, so I know this map fondly. And it actually made for a very, very awesome final battle. So if we take a look at the overall engagement right now, we can see that, oh my god, there's actually a lot left for the attackers. Yeah, I'm pretty nervous for the defenders, if I do say so myself. Like, their defense seemed extremely solid, but, you know, as always, the attackers just have a lot of numbers which they can use to their advantage. But right now, they're obviously just attacking down the entire battle line. The Thracians are throwing more men in against the Royal Peltists and the rest of the Egyptians. But it's not like the Athenians and the Bactrians aren't taking casualties or aren't giving out casualties, wounding the enemy forces as they advance into the city. They are definitely making them pay. But I think quite quickly we're going to see a big break arriving in the center as these Royal Peltists and also the Thorax Sultans from Athens are running a little bit low on numbers. And as I said, all it takes is like one big breach for them to throw men through. And then they can quite quickly wrap up the rest of the Athenian infantry out here. You know, like these picked hoplites who are amazing. If they get enveloped, it's gonna, you know, obviously spell pretty bad news for them. But obviously, until that does happen, they will be racking up plenty of kills, bringing down the oncoming infantry and hitting them hard. There are still plenty of reserves as well. You know, the Bactrians do have a handful of men back here. Also some Royal Cavalry as well, which can be pretty useful. Rear charging, attacking attackers is pretty deadly. And yeah, there we go. We are seeing the Thracians actually beating back the Egyptians. And this is what I was saying. I mean, they haven't beaten them back. There's obviously still plenty of men over here on this side. But what I'm saying is, like, yeah, if they would have delayed this attack probably by about 4 or 5 minutes, then I think what would have happened is the Seleucids and the Athenians would have broken through and be attacking this position right here, which might have drawn more of these Thracians to defend that and go on. You know, but obviously the Egyptians are still, you know, plowing through these guys. They're still doing an amazing job. We have some of the awesome Thracian curved blade warriors, the Oathsworn and the Thracian warriors. And that's going to be such a great unit, obviously, to fight against the heavily armored Egyptians. These Falxes are devastating, they really are. But they're leaving themselves pretty vulnerable as more infantry are now just running around the settlement. They're actually going to be hitting this position pretty heavily, catching some of the mercenary Thracian Peltists and diving a little bit further in to the enemy position. Yeah, we're going to be able to envelop this. Very nice work here by Egypt, killing a handful of these Thracians in a pretty swift manner. And also advancing a little bit here. Obviously, the pikemen are going to be the main focus of all the oncoming missiles, and these Thorax pikemen probably don't stand too much of a chance. However, they're using them pretty nicely just to quite quickly, you know, just scare off the enemy, push them back behind this tower, which again is a pretty important thing to do. And these pikemen have lost almost half their unit and have to go full back right there. So very nice exchange, and it does seem like they are going to kind of give up on this position, realizing, you know, it's not foolhardy, but it's going to take them a lot of casualties. So why not just push down here in the south, regroup the rest of your infantry. You've got a nice envelopment right here on a unit of Thracian warriors who are devastating. However, we do have some cavalry coming in. And this cavalry, as I said, is actually pretty good in sieges because they can do stuff like this. They can quickly get around the battlefield and then rear charge infantry that are engaged elsewhere. And that racks up a decent amount of kills. You know, they've probably done a lot. You know, actually going to break a unit right there of the Egyptians. So stuff like that is really deadly. And having light cavalry can just be so useful in these battles. But if we take a look at the other side of the settlement, it has fallen. The defenses are broken, and now the Egyptians and Seleucids flood into the city. And they still have some pretty nice reserves of cavalry that can come in and help out. And again, this map has a pretty nice setup where you can, you know, attack from the south as well. So honestly, taking this gatehouse is probably #1 priority, because what they could do is they could take all of this cavalry and just run it down to the south of the settlement right here, come down this road onto the beach, back up, and then just start really causing issues for the Thracians and this defense, because right now it doesn't seem like the defenders have too much left, as their last pockets of resistance are being caught out bit by bit right now. It seems like these picked hoplites are now surrounded, but fighting to the end. They have racked up 80 kills, so not too bad. Obviously, we're still like more, and now the Seleucids and the rest of the Egyptians are bringing in their missiles. And I haven't really seen too much fire from these missiles. The infantry did all the heavy lifting in this initial siege for the walls, so they've still got a lot of these missiles to hammer away. But obviously, you know, the Bactrians and the Athenians have their great positions right here. These elite Persian archers will just slaughter. They have amazing range and a lot of missile damage, so they'll be extremely deadly as the rest of the infantry come flying in onto them. However, they have to be very careful, obviously, with the Egyptians now completely breaking through. You've got the Egyptian general there as well, fighting against an Oswan, which is obviously always going to be pretty scary. Losing your general would not be great about these mountains of men. But, you know, pikemen have turned up now, and that should definitely help turn the tide. We've got some cavalry coming around, but with cavalry actually engaging these units before your spearmen, obviously not a unit you tend to really want to have engaged, but they're going to just kind of, you know, hammer and anvil them, try and slot this bulk of infantry as best as they can. Another cavalry charge coming in here as well, as they obviously do not want their unit of elite Oathsworn to really get rear charged. So they're kind of just throwing away their cavalry in the hopes that they can keep this unit alive, because it is slaughtering the Royal Peltis from the Egyptians right now. It is absolutely taking them down bit by bit, even with the pikemen helping them out. However, these Oathsworn are going to try and fall back. I think their plan was to try and get their backs against the wall here, but it's just not going to work now. And yeah, they're going to be in a bit of a tricky situation. But they're very close. They actually managed to kill the Egyptian general, so they might be able to actually fight their way out of this battle. Especially with the support of the cavalry as well, which have come all the way around, man. I love this. Great play by both the defenders and the attackers. Obviously, the attackers rear charging, but the defenders bring around some cavalry to rear charge and hopefully escape out. With the pikemen being so, you know, immobile, this rear charge will end up breaking the Egyptians, especially without a general, and now they can just escape with the Oathsworn still alive. With the charges from the Athenian cavalry being pretty big, however, we are going to be seeing more of the Seleucid cavalry being advanced inside the city. And this is what I'm saying, they need to kind of come down and take away this advantage that the defenders do have inside of the settlement. Oh my god, is the cavalry going to come in again? The Egyptian player has just kind of lost his nerve after the general has been killed. These guys are going to, I mean, they're obviously out of ammunition by the looks of it, but even still, the Bactrians are going to come in and just get a couple, you know, 100 kills here and there. That's still pretty nice. I mean, the Egyptian player on this assault after losing his general has been caught lacking a little bit. And this is, again, the advantage of having, you know, having cavalry inside of a settlement. Like, it can actually do a lot of work. And now they're just going to simply, like, pull back with the Athenian horse, get out of there, and prepare for the defense as the rest of the Seleucids continue to advance their formation into the city. And this is a lot of missiles here, like a lot of missiles. I guess the defenders have done a great job at kind of taking down the infantry support. So, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see kind of if they lose their archers, which they definitely could do, how that is going to affect them. The Egyptians are advancing forward a couple units of these Royal Peltis and just kind of other smaller units to take the initial fire from the missiles. If they want to waste their ammunition on these smaller units, then I guess be their guest. They're fine with that happening. And that's kind of why they're advanced up. They are in shield wall as well, which is pretty nice. Oh, we have some mercenary Royal Peltis coming around the side. That'd be pretty gnarly if they could get some shots off from these guys. Also some cavalry around here. Oh my god, we're just pretty end the battle. The Egyptians are turning up, but it's a little bit delayed. And I'm kind of interested why these guys are getting so close to the pikemen. Probably to throw javelins if they have any. Or maybe cause some friendly fire. I mean, yeah, as I said, this is a fine exchange, really. You're kind of filtering out your crappy units for, you know, some ammunition that could be devastating on your more expensive ones. And yeah, look at that. Some javelins coming in. I mean, again, these Numidian bowmen will be able to return fire, but this is exactly what the defenders want to have right now. Because they're going to be killing a lot of these lightly armored Numidians. And that takes away a large amount of the attacking power, right? It really, really does, because the defenders have these pikemen in good choke points. Losing these missiles is actually huge. It really is. And the Egyptian assault seems like it was going so well, but after losing that general, after them couple rear charges from the cavalry, it's kind of the Egyptian assault is kind of lost steam. The defenders are looking very good. I honestly thought the attackers had it when they broke through this defensive position, but now I'm starting to think elsewhere, as the missile fire is going to come in and really start to rack up the damage. Obviously, all their missiles are going to be heavily focused on killing these pikemen. Luckily, though, with this settlement, there are plenty of other ways around these pikemen. But obviously, killing them will just make the frontal assault a lot easier. So that's what we're going to see. Basically, all the missile fire focused in, and now we have some 4-axe swordsmen going, or Royal Peltists even going up against the Oathsworn. And these Oathsworn have definitely been very impressive. This faction seems very strong when it comes to melee infantry. You know, normally the Hellenics are really impressive for melee infantry, but having Oathsworn and the Tribal Warriors seem like a deadly combination, because they just have so much armor. They have more armor than Oathsworn. They have 95 armor. That's just insane. Now, obviously, their melee attack and damage is not going to be anywhere near as good as the Oathsworn with 51, but even still, like, at 95 armor is very, very good. It didn't even look like they really had that much armor as well on them. The camels are in. The camels are in for a nice little charge. Gonna pull back, and honestly, I'm surprised we're not seeing any cavalry being brought around the back of this settlement. I feel like using that is gonna be deadly, because then you could meet up with the rest of the Egyptians and really push in. Because as you can see, the defenders don't have a lot, right? If you just turn up with 5 units of cavalry, you could smash through these loosely set up Oathsworn. You know, the Oathsworn are designed to be hit by cavalry, and if you go in, you will bring them down. Sorry about that. I felt like, you know, Hades himself was taking my voice away from me. But we're back in, and we are seeing the camels, who have found a nice way round this street. I'm going to go diving into these Peltists, and I assume into the back of these Oathsworn momentarily, taking away these towers and putting the pressure on. However, the high passers are now diving in as well to engage this cavalry from the side, and we're putting a lot of pressure on them as well. And these towers are just firing. The MG42 nests are unloading, and the killing spree has been thrown off, of a headhunter, I should say, has been thrown off on these guys. So lots of damage going in, and these high passes might have come in to save the day, as the Oathsworn are slaughtering the Royal Peltists. They're really doing so much goddamn damage to them. It's actually pretty crazy. And this is again going to take the bite out of the assault right now. And we also have a unit of Athenian picked hoplites turning up as well. Going to be a huge help against the camels. And I really think the attackers should be committing more men to this. But like, the defenders really don't have many men left. They could really be stretching and taking advantage of this. The defenders are choosing to not hold these choke points. So this would be a perfect opportunity to really just focus them down, get a couple units of infantry around the side and punish them, and just really stretch out their formation. How's the missile fire been as well? This pike unit is still only lost 7 men, wow. And this one's lost, you know, a good 14. Not bad whatsoever. The Egyptians are moving in now to try and make a little breach point, draw more of a pressure off the center. Engaging in against the tribal horse. Going to be taking it down. A few of them as they do try and pull out of the battlefield. Only losing 2 horses though, so completely worth it. Yeah, this Egyptian assault looked so good, and then, you know, within a couple minutes it was just basically dismantled. Brutal stuff indeed. We have some Athenian cavalry though coming around after scaring off the camels. Going to be taking down these lighter infantry units. And yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, I feel like the assault has lost steam. Like, it looked so good for them. The Egyptians had broken through, the walls had fallen pretty nicely. And now all of a sudden, like, it just seeming like it's a very slow attack. But maybe that's exactly what they need. You know, it's not like the defenders have a million men. And with these pikemen being brought up as well, that's going to be helpful at taking out the rest of these picked hoplites and also the Oathsworn. If they can just get anything round, like, I think they should commit way more to this fight right now. And the camels are going to come in as well, try and break these Oathsworn. Or sorry, the Athenians are going to come in and rear charge the Egyptians, and now we're going to get the camels coming in. But it might be, you know, a moment or two too late. Or maybe these guys are going to run in. I don't think they should really go too deep into this because of all the defenses, but it does seem like that's exactly what they're going to do. And I imagine we are going to see both the Bactrian Royal Cavalry and the Noble Horse going in after them. Yeah, this is a risky maneuver right here, and I think it's going to get punished. As all the cavalry comes flying in onto these camels, and The Bactrian cavalry almost launches off into space for speed they were going. Pikemen v pikemen now in the streets, and there's already infantry and cavalry looking to come round the side. And I think this Egyptian force is just broken. Defenders are looking pretty good. I mean, I felt like they shouldn't though. I feel like they just don't really have much left. And like I said, eventually they are going to break this, but I feel like the defenders should be getting taken out a lot quicker than they are with what they have left. The amount of missile fire coming in now should definitely see these pikemen reducing their numbers. There's some artillery crew bravely going in, sacrificing their lives for basically no reason. And the Egyptians, I guess, down here are still being a little bit of a nuisance with some Bactrians, and we have a unit of Oathsworn moving up as well. More cavalry moving in. And finally, I think, yeah, the Oathsworn are finally taken care of. They can remove these towers from the equation and continue to push up their formation. But they kind of really only have a one-dimensional attack now. They don't really have much more to push in. But yeah, their numbers are huge. And now we're going to be getting the kind of a final assault. I wonder how much ammunition that these the elite Persian archers have, because I haven't really seen the Athenians or the Bactrian Persian archers really fire back too much. So I wonder if they're just kind of waiting to use their ammunition, or maybe they've used them and I've just missed it. The cavalry are really diving out. This is kind of like a last-ditch effort now, but definitely could work very much in favor of the attackers, or the defenders even. They're managing to break a large amount of these Numidian bowmen. You know, one of the problems of them cheap bowmen is they don't have the high morale. That's them gone. That's 3 units of archers just completely gone. Reinforcements moving up. The Athenians are diving in. The pikemen are going to stick these down and deal with the other Egyptian general. Yeah, and I'm honestly pretty nervous for the attackers. I feel like they could have taken this battle, but the defenders have just got away with it almost. They've definitely made do with the amount of men, and there you go. The archers have been saved for this exact reason, to try and kill the Silver Shield pikemen and bring them down. And now infantry's going to be diving into the pikes. This really is a last charge by the attackers. They are giving themselves all or nothing. And unfortunately, I think that's going to spell the end for them. I think they've just given up at this point, which is a real shame because they played so well. They really, really have. Both sides have done some really, really, you know, interesting strategy and tactics, which I think have made for some great stuff to watch for sure. But the defenders have just kind of got a bit lucky, honestly. There are definitely opportunities for the attackers to really drive home an advantage. And I definitely stand by as well my delaying this assault by like a couple minutes. Because I think if they would have delayed that, they probably would have reached the walls as the Seleucids were engaged with this battle line. By the time the Seleucids and the other Egyptian force had broken through this area, I think, you know, these guys would be slowly winning this side. And then by the time they turned up here, that side would have been broken down. You could have brought cavalry round to you know, support this assault. But again, sometimes these battles aren't played with people in voice calls and stuff, so you know, you can't expect, you know, tournament level strategies in battles like this. And oh my god, it looks so good with the dust kicking up as well. It's awesome. We can just sit back and watch the last of this engagement. I think it's pretty obvious the defenders have this one now. So massive well played to the defenders and obviously to the attackers as well. And a big shout out to everyone who played in this battle. It was a very, very awesome replay. Great to see a nice winter siege. I feel like I haven't done a winter siege in forever. And they are also always really, really cool. Now you're just seeing the slaughter unfold. And I love as well the silver shield from the Seleucids, the purple and the red. Looks so goddamn cool. This day, Athens and Bactria are going to take this with their Thracian allies. We're going to get a nice little cavalry charge out here as well, as the last of the Asat Armenians go in just to break the ranks and continue on going into the enemy line, fighting them hard. Nice little cavalry engagement to finish this one off. The rest of the Seleucids as well moving in for this final battle. The archer fire coming in. Oh, we also have a Bactrian general as well, causing mayhem in the rear ranks. Lovely stuff indeed. And also, we just have a lot of archers coming in. I mean, honestly, the silver shields have been insane. The silver shields are slaughtering the 4-axe pikemen. Much to be expected. But also, I guess the 4-axe pikemen did take a bit of damage just, to that missile fire, whereas these guys haven't taken too much. But even still, the silver shields holding true to their name. But we do have the rest of the infantry coming around, and as I said, that's going to be it. The cavalry is going to be able to win this day. The defenders are going to claim this one. But I'm very interested to jump ahead to the end of this battle and see how well them tribal warriors did do, because I've never really seen them in the battlefield before, and they seem extremely deadly. And there you go, close victory. But yeah, victory. So the tribal warriors, pretty decent. Obviously, they were fighting like elite infantry. That's pretty impressive. This faction seems pretty strong, honestly. Tylus, yeah, so this is like a Thracian. It's not where the Thracian faction starts. It's kind of more in the mountains, from what I remember. But yeah, still pretty interesting stuff indeed. Very good faction. I'll definitely have to play them at some point. They seem like they have a very, very good siege setup with their javelins and stuff, especially if you pair them with some heavy Greeks. So you guys can take a look at all the kills, see if anything racked up a lot. Royal Pelters, over 200 kills in Manila. That's very good indeed. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle once again. And as always, massive shout out to the guys who sent this battle in and played in it. As well as that, massive thank you to all my Patreons and also my YouTube members. If you guys want to find yourself on this list, then check out the links below and join and become a member or support me on Patreon. And I'll see you guys in the next one.